This is Jacob's Algebra, Chapter 11, Lesson 6. We're continuing with multiplying algebraic fractions. So we've already done problems 4 and 5, so now we're going to look at problem number 6. Problem number 6 is just like problem number 11 that I assigned for homework. It says find the following products expressing your answers in simplest terms. This means the problem is not complete until you have put it in simplest terms. So for part B, we have 8x times x plus 1 over x. Our first fraction we can look at as a fraction over 1. When we are multiplying fractions, you remember that we look for common factors in the numerator and denominator that can cancel. So we have an x in this numerator here, and we have an x in the denominator here, and those can cancel. And so what we end up with is 8 times x plus 1 over 1, because our numerators multiply and our denominators multiply. 8 times x plus 1 is 8x plus 8. And since our denominator was 1, we can just get rid of that. So 8x plus 8 is our final answer. Now let's take a look at part D. Part D says 4 over x times 6x to the 4th minus x. Okay, before we can do any canceling of factors, we have to make what's in the parentheses factored. So I'm going to rewrite our fraction, that's 4 over x. And what's in the parentheses, I'm going to make a fraction of 1. So 6x to the 4th and negative x, they have a common factor of x. And we will need to multiply that by 6x cubed minus 1. And now we can see that our x and our x will cancel. And so what we have is 4 times 6x cubed minus 1 all over 1, which becomes 24x cubed minus 4. Okay, last part we're going to do from number 6 is part F. Part F says x plus 10, sorry, that's supposed to be a 10, over 2x times 2x minus 1. Now we're going to call this second one a fraction over 1. And really there's nothing that we can cancel here. We have a 2x in the numerator. Whoa, that's not supposed to actually be making a mark, sorry. We have a 2x in the denominator on the left. And we have a 2x in the numerator on the right. But notice in the numerator it's being subtracted, it's not being multiplied. 2x minus 1 is what we have in the numerator on the right. So what we need to do is multiply our numerators. We have x plus 10 times 2x minus 1. And then we need to multiply our denominators. 2x times 1 is 2x. So now we need to see what is x plus 10 times 2x minus 1. So I am going to draw a grid for that and put in my grid lines. Okay, so we have x plus 10, and then we have 2x minus 1. X times 2x is 2x squared. X times negative 1 is negative x. 10 times 2x is 20x. 10 times negative 1 is negative 10. Okay, so we can see that what this multiplies out to is 2x squared. We have negative x plus 20x, that means plus 19x, and then minus 10, because that's our last number down here. All of that is over 2x. Okay, so that was problem number 6. It is just like problem number 11 that was assigned for homework. Remember, your final answer has to be in simplest terms. So do problem number 11 now, and then come back so you can see how problem numbers 7 and 8 work. Okay, so now we're going to look at problem number 7. Problem number 7 says find each of the following products by first multiplying and then simplifying the result. So we're going to work on part B, which says 2x over 3 plus 1/2 times 2x over 3 minus 1/2. Now if you look at this closely, you'll see that we have the sum of two terms multiplied by the difference of those same two terms. You may or may not remember that that is going to give us the pattern of a difference of two squares. So we can take our first term and square it, and then subtract the square of our second term. Well, the square of our first term is 4x squared over 9. The square of our second term is 1/4, and so that's our answer, 4x squared over 9 minus 1/4. So now let's take a look at part D. For number 7, part D. What we have is 3x minus 2/5 times 4x plus 1/5. Sorry, I didn't quite stay inside my parentheses. So I am going to use the grid to draw this, to work this one, because it doesn't have a nice easy pattern. So let me put in my grid lines. Okay, so we have 3x minus 2/5, and then we have 4x plus 1/5. So 4x times 3x is 12x squared. 3x times 1/5 is 3x over 5. Negative 2/5 times 4x is negative 8x over 5. And negative 2/5 times 1/5 is negative 2/25. So to get our final answer, we're going to write 12x squared. And then 3x over 5 minus 8x over 5 is minus 5x over 5. And then we have minus 2/25. But we are not done yet because 5x over 5 is not simplified. We have a 5 in the numerator and the denominator, which means those cancel. So our final answer is 12x squared minus x minus 2/25. So that was number 7, part D. This was just like number 12. So you should stop the video now and go do number 12, and then come back so you can see how the last problem works. Okay, now we're going to look at problem number 8. The instructions on problem number 8 say find each of the products in exercise 7 by first changing each expression to a fraction. So we're going to go back and work the same ones that we did for number 7. We're going to look at part B. We have 2x over 3 plus 1/2 times 2x over 3 minus 1/2. And what we need to do is take what's in each parentheses and make that into one fraction. So if we have 2x over 3 plus 1/2, what do we need to do in order to add these fractions? Well, first thing we have to do is get a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply my first fraction by 2 over 2 and my second fraction by 3 over 3. That will give us a common denominator of 6. So 2 times 2x is 4x, and 1 times 3 is 3. So we have 4x plus 3 over 6. Now I need to do the same thing for my second fraction. The second parentheses. We have 2x over 3 minus 1/2. So I need to multiply my first fraction by 2/2 and my second fraction by 3/3. And we will get 4x minus 3. Let me take care of that. And I don't know why I wrote a 6 there when I said a 3. 4x minus 3 over 6. I was getting ahead of myself and writing the denominator. Okay, so we're going to end up with 4x plus 3 over 6 times 4x minus 3 over 6. Okay, so when we have fractions that we're multiplying, we multiply across the numerator and then we multiply across the denominator. Well, the denominator is easy. 6 times 6 is 36. So now let's look at our numerator. We have the sum of two terms multiplied by the difference of two terms. That means we can take the square of our first term and then subtract the square of our second term. So we have 16x squared minus 9 over 36. Okay, so when we are looking at this, we can see what we can do to simplify. I mean, this is simplified. We can stop at this point. But remember when we did 7b? That was 2 pages ago. We ended up with 4x squared over 9 minus 1/4. We're doing the same problem, so we should be able to get to the same answer. So let's see what we can do. If we break this up into two fractions, we have 16x squared over 36 minus 9 over 36. Okay, 16 and 36. Those both have 4 as a common factor. So if I divide the numerator and the denominator by 4, 16 divided by 4 is 4. 36 divided by 4 is 9. So I have 4x squared over 9. When I look at my next fraction, I have 9 over 36. The common factor there is 9. So if I divide the numerator and the denominator by 9, 9 divided by 9 is 1. 36 divided by 9 is 4. So then we have minus 1/4. And you can see that that is the same answer that we got before, 4x squared over 9 minus 1/4. So you do not have to change your answer to this other form. Once you get it to here, you can stop. You're actually done at that point. I just went the extra step to show you that it really is the same answer. Okay, so let's go to a new page and we are going to do number 8, part D. Part D was 3x minus 2/5 times 4x plus 1/5. If I remember that right, yeah. So we need to make our first parentheses into a single fraction. We have 3x minus 2/5. The 3x we can assume is a fraction of 1. So to get a common denominator, we need to multiply that by 5 over 5. Our common denominator is 5. 5 times 3x is 15x. And then we just subtract the 2. Now we look at our second parentheses. We have 4x plus 1/5. Right now, 4x is over a fraction of 1. And so we need to multiply it by 5/5 to get a common denominator. Our common denominator is 5. 5 times 4x is 20x. And then we have a 1. So now we need to multiply these two fractions. We have 15x minus 2 over 5 times 20x plus 1 over 5. We'll multiply our numerators, and then we'll multiply our denominators. Well, what we get in the numerator is 15x minus 2 times 20x plus 1. And then in our denominator, we have 5 times 5, and that is 25. So let's use the grid to figure out what this product is, because that looks pretty messy. Okay, put in my grid lines. Okay, so we have 15x minus 2, and then we have 20x plus 1. 15 times 20 is 300, x squared. 15x times 1 is 15x. 20x times a negative 2 is negative 40x. Negative 2 times a positive 1 is negative 2. So we can write this as 300x squared. 15x minus 40x, that's a negative 25x. And then minus 2, because that's our last part there, all over 25. So that is our last problem. This is just like problem number 13 that I assigned for homework. So you're going to use the same factors that you had from problem number 11, but this time you're going to take the two fractions, or the whole number and the fraction, and make them into a single fraction and then multiply.